The Altar of Kelm, the very, very famous Rashi in the beginning of Vayeishev, where Rashi says in explaining Vayeishev Yaakov, so Bikesh Yaakov Leishev B'Shalva. So Rashi says that the pasuk is really intimating a little bit of a criticism against Yaakov. That Yaakov was wanted to relax. He wanted to, I put in a lot of years. I did my time, so to speak. Aren't I entitled to a little bit of relaxation? Can't I lean back, put my neck against the chair, and put my head down and take it easy a little bit? What's the big deal? And then the HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Yaakov, that's what you want? You want to relax? You want to take it easy? You want to sort of bask in your glory years after you put in so much time? You dealt with Esav and you dealt with Lavan and you dealt with Shechem and the rape of Dinah. You dealt with so many things, trials and tribulations. You want to relax? Here comes some more fun. Now he deals with some real pressures and real tragedies and real difficulties with Yosef being taken and sold, and you know the whole story. And the Altar of Kelm points out, what's wrong? What did Yaakov do wrong here that he wanted to sort of take it easy after having so many years? Did he want to relax on drinking tequilas in the beach in Hawaii? Is that what he wanted to do? When we talk about Yaakov wanting to relax, we're talking about Yaakov Avinu wanting to totally immerse himself in Torah study, spiritual growth, and just to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what he wanted to do. So he wasn't looking to sort of take time off so he can tour the world and scale the Himalayas over there in India. That's not what his intention was. So he explains a very important concept, one that I think will tie into another part of the Parsha. And he says like this. He says, of course, it wasn't really a criticism of Yaakov. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu was illuminating even a Yaakov Avinu. A Yaakov Avinu who you'd imagine would pretty much know everything there is to know about the world. But says the Altar of Kelm, the one thing Yaakov could not know, the one thing Yaakov and all the other Nevi'im and no one in the world could fully fathom, is what happens in the next world. What a Jew cannot figure out, beyond, no matter how great you are, no matter how much you're in the celestial heights of spiritual growth and spiritual greatness, you don't know what the next world is about. You don't know what the pleasure, what the benefits, what the rewards of the next world are all about. We can't. We're physical beings, and our minds are limited. And while every single time, whenever there's a chance to schmooze with kids, and I'm not criticizing them, I'm just saying that it's natural. What do you want to talk about? Either Mashiach, or Tchias HaMeisim, or Olam Haba, or Gehenim, or Shadim, things that we cannot touch we can't touch, feel, or understand, because these are concepts beyond our ability to understand, beyond our comprehension. So says HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Yaakov, you think you know what you want? You think you want to relax, and you think that, yes, being sort of b'menuchas nefesh, b'shalva, taking it easy, learning Torah all day, you'll have your cup of coffee, and then everything will be fantastic, and you'll be growing spiritually. But you don't know that what I have planned for you, even though, yes, it looks very difficult, there are trials and tribulations, and there are challenges, and maybe there's tears, and there's pain, and there's almost torturous situations that are coming down the pike for you, Yaakov Avinu. But do you understand that when I'm doing all this to you, I'm also doing it for you? And I'm letting you know that in the end result, you will gain from these challenges. You will gain from these trials and tribulations. And while you're going through it, you won't understand it. While you're going through it, you'll never fathom how this is good for you. But trust me, in the next world, as the Gemara tells us, that if we understood what difficulty and challenges do for us in the next world, we'd pray for them all day. If we fully understood what it is to have a difficult life, and again, we don't want it. We pray that we should not have a difficult life. We don't want those challenges. But at the end of the day, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if and when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a challenge, instead of looking to complain about it, which is very natural, the response, why me, and how come, it's not fair, and all the different things that people feel. If we understood, then we would embrace it. So in a sense, Yaakov wasn't getting punished according to the Altar of Kelm. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wasn't sort of nailing him for wanting to be Benuch. He was saying, I know better, Yaakov. I'm HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I know better what's good for you, or what's really going to help you in the long run. And yes, I know you want to be Yeshiv V'Shalva. I know you want to take it easy and sort of move into your glory, golden years in a sense of comfort, in a nice retirement place. Everything is and again, not to relax and not to, be physical. You want to be spiritual, of course. But you want to be spiritual in a certain sense of Menuchas Nefesh. I have bigger things planned for you. And your reward in the next world, you can't fathom it. And then the author of Kelm says a very important final point. Can we do anything to replace the pain? Can we do anything to replace the difficulty? Is there a way that maybe we can do something that would spare us the trials and tribulations? There's a famous story about a fellow who had a lot of pressures financially, and his life was falling apart. He could not figure out why in the world is God doing this to me? Just to give you an idea of what our perspective should be. And he heard that there was a Rebbe in a faraway place who answers all questions. So here's this guy he's got so much going on, so many challenges. His life is falling apart from every possible angle. And he decides to go travel to this Rebbe, and he finally gets to the Rebbe. It's a long journey, and he's tired, and he's worn out. He knocks on the door, and the Rebbe's wife comes to the door and says, can I help you? I must speak to the Rebbe. My life is in shambles. My life is in ruins. I'm going through so much sorrows. I need to speak to the Rebbe. I need to speak to the Rebbe. And she says to him, sit down here when the Rebbe will come out soon. And sure enough, he's sitting in the little room there, a little antechamber, waiting for the Rebbe to come out. And, I don't know if there was background music, elevator music playing in the background or not, but he's relaxing, and how it is when you're waiting for a couple minutes. He just had a very arduous trip. What was he going to do? He decided to sort of, he didn't do it intentionally. He hopped a little dribble. He started to fall asleep and then nap away. You know what happens. Sometimes you try to listen, but you can't help but falling asleep. But he fell asleep. He wasn't respectful for the Rebbe, but the Rebbe wasn't there yet, so he decided he fell asleep a little bit. And as he's falling into a deeper and deeper slumber, he starts having a dream. And in his dream, he goes up to Shemayim. In his dream, he has the Bezin Shomayel in front of him, the great heavenly court that is judging every single person. After 120 years, we get up to Shemayim. This is your life. The screen comes down and it plays, this is your life. From the time you're bar mitzvah till the time your last moment on earth at 120, the cameras go on and plays, this is your life. And it goes through the whole thing. And there's a defense attorney, there's a prosecuting attorney. The defense attorney says, let's bring out all the wonderful mitzvahs that he did. And they bring out all the mitzvahs, all the Torah, and all the chesed, and everything he did. And there's a big scale there, and the mitzvahs way down. And, Mamish, look at that, fantastic. And all of a sudden the prosecutor says, not so fast. This is all a dream that he's having. The prosecutor says, whoa, let's do the Averis. Let's get all the Averis out there. The embarrassment, the wasting of time, and the not doing the mitzvahs, whatever it is, whatever he didn't do, and all the things he said, he did, whatever. And the Averis start coming down. And the Averis start winning out. And they're lower. They're lowering down. And as the Rambam says, if you have more avonos and schuyos, and that's not a good situation, then you're in the category of a Russia. So this guy, he's sleeping, he's in a dream, but his sweat is starting to come down from his brow, from the back of his neck. And the prosecutor says, well, look, you see, he's a Russia. He has more averis than schuyos. And the defense attorney says, whoa, wait a minute. We're not done yet. But let's bring out all the difficulties. Let's bring out all the challenges of his life, all the times that he was pained and he had anguish and he had difficulties. Bring them out. And those moments started coming out. And they started flashing on the screen, and slowly but surely, the mitzvah started winning out again, because every one of those challenges started weighing on the side of the mitzvahs that he did and becoming more balanced on the spiritual end of things. And it was just about even he's slightly above. And he's having this dream, and it's like so real in his eyes and his mind and his heart. And all of a sudden he screams out, I need more Yisurim, I need more punishment, I need more pressure and pain and aggravation and difficulties. I need more, give me more. And all of a sudden, as he's screaming that in his dream, the Rebbe comes running out and says, are you okay? Are you, sir, are you okay? And he wakes up. He says, wow, thank you so much. I can go home now. I don't need to see the Rebbe. He packs up his little bag and he goes back home. And that dream opened up his eyes to the reality. We don't pray for challenges. But when they come, when we're in a difficult situation, let's keep this perspective. And the Alter Kellam then says, if this is the perspective, if anything that we do that sort of forces us to, in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, what can we do maybe to sort of circumvent a more difficult challenge? Anything that we can do to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know what? I'll challenge myself. You don't have to throw the curveballs at me. You don't have to throw the challenges at me. You don't have to throw the sicknesses, Rahman al-San, or the financial pressures, or the other difficulties, or the mental depressions. I'll give you a different way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Can we do that? And he says yes. When we challenge ourselves, when we have challenges in life, and we overcome those challenges on a personal level, and no greater example than that is Yosef HaTzadik in this week's Parsha. Because Yosef HaTzadik every single day came to work. And he came on time and he came loyally committed to do the right thing. And every single day the wife of Potiphar would be at him. And she would be harassing him. You talk about a sexual harassment suit. Boy, this would have been the ultimate sexual harassment suit. Boy, could Yosef have sued her in court. But he didn't. And he didn't have a court to sue her in. But every single day she was after him. And finally the entire house was gone. And every day she resisted. And he resisted. And finally, the day that everybody was gone, it was a big celebration. The house is all to ourselves. And this was her big moment. And she, again, according to the Chazal, she saw big things with Yosef. She saw that she was going to build something special. There was a spiritual destiny for the two of them to get together. And that's why when we see things in our minds, they might be partially right. She was partially right, but not with her. Not at this time, and not if the Shulchan Aruch says it's wrong. But she didn't stop, and she kept after him. And finally, on this eventful day, she grabbed onto him and she said, "Shichva imi." It's right in the psukim in the parsha. She said, "Lie with me. You are reserved for me, and you have to live with me." And while the temptation was great, well, the moment was one of the defining moments of Yosef's life. Very few people get the name for all of eternity, Yosef HaTzadik. But this man, at that moment, at this particular moment in time, where he said to this woman, "I cannot do that." And he ran out of that room. And says the pasuk, he left that garment in her in her hands. She was holding on to the garment and she was screaming, "Lie with me, lie with me." And he said, "No, I will not do that. I cannot do that." And he ran out, and instead of taking the garment and pulling it very nicely and say, excuse me, please. I'm out of here. And I'm out of here with my robe. I'm not going to leave my robe in your hand, because I leave my robe in your hand, I'm walking out basically without any clothing. Because robes were basically the overall covering of the entire body in those days. They didn't have a jacket with a shirt and a suit. They didn't have the whole deal. They had robes. So if he left his robe in her hand, then what is that going to say when he's outside and the cops show up because she started screaming, "Rape, rape." But the minute he ran out, he left her, she started protecting herself. So she made up some kind of bub mice, and she started saying to the fake news out there, "This is what happened." And Reb Chaim Shulevitz asks the obvious question. He says, "What's Yosef doing?" The question a lot of Mefarshim ask. What are you leaving the garment with her for? Take the time to grab the garment and get out of there in time. What are you doing?
I think the reason why he left the garment with her is because the temptation for him was so strong that he just had to get out of there as fast as he could.
Okay, that's fantastic. You're mechavan to Reb Chaim Shulevitz. That's great. And that's exactly what he says. He says, Rabbi, say, stop and think about this. He understood that when we are in the throes of a test and a challenge, sometimes we don't have the opportunity to sort of spend the time to sort of mull it over and say, let me think about this. When the moment is there and the challenge is there, you have to assess it with absolute clarity. And when you're able to overcome that challenge, and he did that, and he left that garment in her hand because he knew exactly what was said, that I wouldn't be able to win that challenge. Another 2 or 3 seconds, I'm maneuvering with her, and I'm wrestling with her and wrangling with her. I'm going to lose. I'm going to say, you know what? It's not so bad if I do it. After all, she has a good point. We are destined for each other, and so she's married to this boss, and so he's been nice to me, and so it's one of the major averas that a person has to give up their life for. And the image of my father is hanging over me, looking at me, and my entire destiny is right here. But that passion was so great, the temptation was so powerful. See, he literally had a 1 second moment in time. He had to decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to press delete on my contacts, or am I not? I feel inspired. Hanukkah is right around the corner. It's a moment, it's a time of great spiritual potential. I really know it's wrong. I feel it's destroying my life. I feel I'm getting sucked into a world that I have no business being part of. What am I going to do? Says the author of Kellam, when you pull off that kind of a victory, when you become a Yosef at Tzaddik, when you recognize that if I push it off another day, that's not going to happen. It might happen much later on, but could you imagine saving yourself all that pain and aggravation and embarrassment and difficulties, and who knows what's going to appear in my video after 120 years when I have to face the Bezin Shomayla? The author of Kellam says we can give ourselves the Yisurim. We can save HaKadosh Baruch Hu the hassle. And if we do it to ourselves, it goes down much sweeter. Because we made a choice. It's not an easy choice. It requires incredible fortitude, incredible strength. And just like every challenge elevates us, we can, in a sense, elevate ourselves. We can use the challenges of life. Whether it's a temptation about zapping somebody with some wonderful line that would make the entire class crack up. And have this guy go home crying on his pillow, but who the heck cares? Because after all, it's a good laugh. It's worth it. And we say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to bite my lip and keep my mouth shut because I don't want to kill anybody today. You know what we've done for ourselves? You know what kind of anguish we might have saved ourselves now or possibly later? We're in a situation where, and somebody has showed me, somebody just walked into the building yesterday. Somebody deleted their social media stuff. And we can sit there and make all the comments we want. I guarantee anybody makes a cynical comment to somebody who has social media, who's probably dived in with the head into the mud, 10 feet deep, who can't get out, who's probably making some kind of joke about it in their own mind, saying, what's he doing? Because we're not man enough to recognize that, wow, that is an unbelievable thing to do. An incredible level of accomplishment. I've had kids walking into my office talking about the fact that they're working on themselves to deal with the challenges of life and the issues of technology and all the stuff that's on the internet and overcome it. People who are actually working day and night to become better Jews. Do you think yes, it's incredible in its own right and what it does for a young man to be able to be in that situation where they're actually overcoming challenges and making tough decisions? And who knows whether that puts that person in the category of a Yosef at Tzaddik or a Moshe at Tzaddik or a Yaakov at Tzaddik, whatever it might be. That we don't know. We don't know what reverberation there is in Shemayim when a person makes that decision. But something else to consider is the pain, the energy, the challenge of being able to overcome that test and win. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at, measures that. It's not pain. Pain is not the right word. But the spiritual energy required, the difficulty of that challenge, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, whoa, that's a difficulty. I have to look at that and say, wow, I can save that guy whatever aggravation maybe was going to come down the line. Because he look at what he did. Look at how much he gained. Look at how much he persevered. Look at what he accomplished. Rabbi say Hanukkah is a great time for us to really look in the mirror and understand the message of what Hanukkah is about. It's not a time to exchange gifts. We like gifts, but that's not what Hanukkah is about. It's Ram biyad miatzim. Utmeim biyad tahorim. Ushom biyad tzadikim. Think about the message of Hanukkah. It's about the ability of the Jewish people to persevere. How? Under what basis? What is the answer to our existence? What is the answer to our future? And what is the key to our success down the line? What's going to allow us to ultimately light the real menorah, so to speak? The menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. What's going to be that schus? It's Zaydim b'yad oskei seresecha. In the end of the day, that's what it's all about. The spiritual victories that we have, both collectively as a people and privately and individually every single day as we go through life. But think about it. I don't come to Steinman and I don't have the ability to say profound things like he says. But if he can look at about Tshuva, as I told you the story some weeks ago, if he can look at about Tshuva and tell you, I'm jealous of the fact that you thought about doing Tshuva, and I'm jealous of your Olam Haba, because you're in a level that I never was at. I never had to contemplate leaving breaking Shabbos. I never had to contemplate the issue of starting to not eat non-kosher food anymore. I wasn't in that situation. I was born from, I was raised from, and I was always somebody who was always in the world of Torah. I don't know what your challenges are. I'm jealous of your Olam Haba. What will we say about somebody who's 15 or 16 who realizes this is not taking me to a good place? I recognize the challenge. I recognize the temptations. I recognize how hard it is. But I'm pressing that delete button. I'm not going back there. I don't want this world. That world is not for me. And you don't look back and you move ahead. I think we could all say, who wouldn't be jealous of that kid's status in Olam Haba? Who wouldn't say, oh my gosh, I'm jealous of your special place? Everybody said, really, you're all in that situation because it's sort of the older generation doesn't have your challenges. They didn't grow up in the world of technology and games and Fortnite and all this craziness. The level of addiction that are happening with these games. Because the only good part about the games is that somebody they noticed statistically that people are less involved in the schmutzy part, statistically in the schmutzy part of the internet because they're involved in games. You can't do both at one time. So if you play Fortnite, you're obviously not going on a bad site. So I guess it's a silver lining somewhat. But either way, where are we? What's our world about? How many kids walk into school every single day throughout America? Zombie-like in their inability to focus and to think. Because they're playing on some kind of ridiculous group till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. 40% of kids who play Fortnite. We just heard it yesterday on a video of a psychologist in New York. 40% of kids who are involved with Fortnite at least miss one or 2 days of school a year. I mean, that's just, I can't go to school. I got to play. 20% of adults. It's not funny. We can laugh, but it's not funny. This is pathetic stuff. This is life-altering stuff here. If you work and you support your family, and 20% of people on Fortnite who are adults who have jobs miss work because of their addictions to this stuff, how sad is that on everybody's side? Not to mention, not even to even think about that other world, that world of addictions to the inappropriate places. What does that do to a person? How does that affect their lives and their marriages and their whole world? Think about Yosef Atzadik and think about Yaakov Avinu. Think about the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can say to Yaakov, I understand you want menuchas hanefesh, but I'm telling you, when you overcome a challenge, you deal with adversity, and you can look that challenge in the eye and overcome it. There's nothing in the world you could ever imagine you want more than that ability to look back and say, look at what I accomplished. Arguably, you can look back at your life and you should be able to do mitzvahs, Ameh V'Eshem, Torah, and Chasadim, and Tfilos, and you name it. But could you imagine at the end of the day, after 120 years, you go up to Bezin Shalmaila, and the key moment that's going to catapult you to the highest levels of Gan Eden, to the place where no one, not a Navi, can imagine the reward. There's no way. Nobody can ever understand what you get. Because when you were 15 or 16, you decided, you pushed that right button, you said, delete. And you got out of a place you didn't really belong. That could happen. Yosef Tzaddik was forever Yosef Tzaddik as a young man. When he said no to Eshes Potiphar, and he ran out of that room and he left that garment in her hands, that forever defined him as Yosef Tzaddik. Let's think about that. Let's try to emulate that. At a time of Hanukkah, starting Sunday night, that's the time. This is the time now to grab that challenge, face that adversity, Bez Hashem, win that challenge. And that's what we saw for the B'yas Mashiach and Hebron.